Trash Talk and Tall Tales. My name is Marlon.
And I'm James.
And also check us out on Spotify. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. James, I think we are going to discuss whether Diddy did it.
Boy, what a case indeed. Just want to start this off by saying me and Marlon looked at this case on, I think it was a Law and Crime Network on YouTube. They had a AI generated transcript from the trial. So if you look on that channel and subscribe to it, you could see that it doesn't have every single witness that came up there. Mostly had the Cassie Ventura, some of her testimony, the AI, or not AI, but the Jane testimony and Kid Cudi's testimony as well. So we didn't get to see all or hear all of the testimony from, 34 different witnesses. I forgot how long this trial lasted or whatnot, but I think I got my feel on that little 11 videos that they had on Law and Order or Law and Crime. What do you think?
Yeah, I remember first paying attention to it, and it's just so much. It's overwhelming. It's hard to follow along, in my opinion. I'm not the fastest man in the world, but it's just hard to encompass everything all at once. I mean, because of course you have the court of public opinion,
First, yeah.
and you have your own personal thoughts about. I mean, I try not to be a judgmental guy, but it's hard to not, you see all like the video, you see his lifestyle. It's hard not to judge that. But I know in the judicial system, she's blind, so we're supposed to
Supposedly.
Allegedly. Yeah. She is blind. I know the statue is blind, but you're supposed to, judge each person accordingly. And I know in this case, there were 8 male jurors and 3 female jurors. Okay. No, four female jurors. So it was 8 men and 4 women. Okay. So I'm not sure if that played anything into it. I'm sure that if he had, more female jurors, it might have been different. I'm not sure. But do you think he got a fair shake from what you saw?
Well, do we happen to have a list of his charges that he was charged?
I'm sure I can find it.
Okay. If I'm not mistaken, one count was racketeering conspiracy. This is a charge under the RICO Act involving participation in an enterprise through a pattern of illegal activity. The other one was sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. This charge is related to alleged incidents with his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. And then the other one was transportation to engage in prostitution. So I think the transportation had 2 different counts because of 2 different people or whatnot.
Yes, that's what my understanding is.
Yeah. Well, look, I'll tell you like this, and this is my opinion, and it's kind of indicative to how our justice system works, because I have differing opinions when it comes to how it should work and how it says it works are usually 2 different things. All right. First and foremost, you're supposed to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, right?
This is correct.
So during that situation, the defense has the presumption of innocence until the prosecutors can make their case. With that racketeering conspiracy, when I looked at some of the testimony that I was privy to or whatnot, I didn't see them actually making a case with those witnesses that they pulled forth. Now, that might have been more for the sex trafficking or the transportation to engage in prostitution. I think the Kid Cudi was more to kind of symbolize his violent nature.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
And I can get that, but at the same time, I looked at it and listened to it. I didn't see where they connected any dots. Like, they didn't have any concrete proof of he actually did it.
I think
know,
honestly, I think the prosecution was reaching too high with the racketeering. I mean, when you think of racketeering, you think of crime bosses, you
the
think of
mob,
Bumpy Johnson, you think of Scarface, even in movies. That's what
mafia,
you think of.
mob
Mafia. That's
thing.
what you think
Hmm.
of. And I think that they stretched themselves entirely too far.
And I can understand, like, if it was they linked him to be able to use this freak offs and whatever they did for his personal, like, monetary gain, but they didn't connect those dots for me, like in the testimony that I heard anyway. Like,
No, I didn't feel like there was any monetary gain.
yeah, so that's where I would think the racketeering would come in, because they do that on like drug conspiracy, drug charge and stuff like that. So
And sex
I didn't,
trafficking.
and sex trafficking, but I didn't
Yeah.
see that he was using this to gain money by it or anything like that. It just kind of seemed like the way that I interpreted whatever I heard was he was just really freaky, if you want to call it that. So yeah, so I guess we both agree on that the racketeering thing, like I don't think they really had a case.
They didn't connect the dots. And I was watching one correspondent, and she was saying how usually, if there is a racketeering case, you have the mob boss up for charges, and somebody is a turncoat. So somebody, his underbosses are up there testifying against him, and they didn't have that. They did not have that. So I just feel like they should have tried harder and charged him with something other than racketeering, in my opinion.
Which I thought was odd anyway. Like I said, if he used that to do something more in this business or whatnot that he had with, I guess Bad Boy Records, his entertainment group or whatever he's got, I can understand maybe having that put in there. But like you said, there's just no evidence that I saw them connecting to make that racketeering charge actually stick. So, and like I said before, you are supposed to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. So the state has to make its case. And like I said, they reached for that one. I agree with you on that. And they dropped the ball on that one. What about that sex trafficking by force, fraud, and coercion?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, are we talking about Jane or are we talking about Cassie?
We can do them individually if you want.
Okay. And let's talk about Cassie. I feel as though now I'm not taking up for Sean Combs at all. I feel just in the video alone in the hotel that speaks to who he is. I think he's a bad guy. Anybody who treats a woman like that, I have absolutely no respect for. Other than that, one of the lawyers said this is kinky, not criminal. Now, I think that it would have been hard for the jurors to see exactly, because they were in a relationship. It's hard to prosecute someone when they're in a relationship and the text messages show that they were for it, they're not for it, they're making the appointments, but it's murky. It's murky. So
And let me just say this too, Marlon. Sorry to cut you off. This lets everybody know that relationships can be as complex as they can be. I mean, this is one of these relationships that you and I looking on the outside might view it one way, but like she went back and forth between like Puffy and Kid Cudi and somebody else, and like I said, relationships can be complex. I just wanted to say that.
Well, and the first instance, now I do not like to get in other people's bedrooms. It's none of my business what goes on in other people's bedrooms, but if she was expressing that she did not want to do this, they should charge him. Even one little inkling of her saying that she does not want to do this, they should charge him. If he gets hit over the head with a skillet while she's making eggs, they should charge him.
And that was funny. Let's dive on that for a minute, Martin. Like, there were no assault charges with this,
and they had video.
Which I thought was odd.
Yeah, Yeah, if they wanted something to stick, they should have gone with assault.
That would have stuck. I mean, there's clear evidence of that.
Yeah.
So why would you go so far on this racketeering situation when you've got assault clear as day, basically?
Yep, and she testified to assault. Multiple people testified to assault.
And they did.
So that's one thing that they most definitely should have done. But like I'm saying, I mean, he treated her like a piece of property. He treated her like a piece of property. That's basically the way he treated her. And the Punisher, what kind of world are we living in where people are called the Punisher?
Hey, 2025.
2025. Yeah, but this was over 11 years. He was with her for
Something
11
like
years.
That, yeah. The only let me say this though, Martin. Like the only thing I kind of don't agree with you on some of this is like, yes, if she didn't want to do it, she shouldn't have had to do it. But at the same time, I think we've got to understand that we are responsible for our actions. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't see anything in there where he was like, he held a gun to her head or there was a weapon involved.
That is not the only way you can treat somebody.
But that's
wrongly.
by force. That's by force.
Or coercion.
I'm saying
coercion.
Yes,
I was also in there.
I'm saying also like this. At some point, these people had a way to escape, I believe. And that's what I think hurt this case. Because on the prosecution side, yes, you might have all these counts really down and everything like that. But at the same time, you got witnesses who, even after the fact that all this stuff happened, they're saying, I love you. They're saying, I want to do it again. Or they're still in contact with this person. Like, it muddies the water for you to have a count that sticks. Because it's like, okay, if you didn't want to do it, and that's where I'm stuck at. If you didn't want to do it, like at some point, I believe you were able to leave at some point, which we can go back at the beginning of the relationship. Is it really a wise decision to date your employer? You know, because he does, especially in the music industry, he does have control of what albums come out. He does have control of what songs get pushed. I don't want to say this was done to further a career because I do not know what's in somebody else's mind.
Of course, of course it was. Of course it was.
But it's just like, okay, I get it, but probably not the best decision there. Like, you know, we all make decisions from day to day that changes the trajectory of our lives. Like, we can go one way or the other way. And I just think, like, her being young and stuff, and that's what she said during testimony, she was young and naive, and I understand that totally. But to be in that industry and to go with someone who is actually the one that's going to make sure your album gets pushed. So really, if she's got a 10-album deal, he can make sure that none of those albums come out. Like, she's indebted to him forever. You know, I think that happened with TLC, if I'm not mistaken. They got into some kind of deal like that. I could be wrong. But it's like you have so many records you got to put out, but if they don't want to put it out, then guess what? You didn't hold up your end of the contract. So maybe all the money and things that they use to promote you or whatever can be clawed back. So it's a bad situation to actually date someone that's in basically control of your career at this point. You know, that's just a bad decision. That's all I'm gonna say.
I agree with that, especially if they're putting hands on you. I totally agree with that. I mean,
and my thing is, why didn't you, like, after the first time? That's what I don't understand. Like, after the first time that you did something that you were uncomfortable with, or you did something or he did something to scare you or hit you or whatever, why didn't you leave?
I don't think it's that simple. I
don't know, man. She was talking about it happened early in the relationship too. Like, I maybe can understand if y'all got kids together or you got something else going on, y'all's money is intertwined so much that it's going to be hard to split that up. Y'all got a business together or whatnot. But like, if you're getting mistreated, Heck, Marlon, we talked about ghosting people not too long ago.
No, but
We
still,
talked about ghosting people not too long ago who have done none of these things, and you're telling me that you can't walk away?
No, what I'm saying is it's just not that simple. I mean, it's simple. Hindsight is 2020. Ma Dukes always said hindsight is 2020, but it's just not that simple. Women are abused every day, and a lot of them don't leave. I mean, it happens all the time.
It might happen all the time.
You just can't say she just needs to leave because it's not that simple. It's not that simple.
Cassie had the means to leave. I get women who are in financial situations where they don't work or something like that. I get all that. I understand that totally.
There's some women out there who are afraid to leave because their life might be in danger. So they fear for their life. I don't know.
This is not that case.
I don't know.
This is not that case.
I can't speak on that. I can't speak on that, whether that's the case
how
or not.
Many people? How many people do we know? How many people do we know that Puffy has had this, this situation going with?
I don't know. All I know is
she's the only one. She's the only one.
What I'm saying is
that forward.
She testified. She testified and said that she tried to leave after that freak off, and you see what he did to her in that hallway. I don't know what number it was. All I know is
that's my problem.
All I know was okay. If it's the first, it's the fifth, it's the sixth, it's the seventh. It doesn't matter. If she's trying to, no, it does not matter because
if she's if you get hit in the face,
hold on. What I'm saying is, if she was trying to leave, if she was trying
to leave that person alone.
No, if she was trying to leave, regardless as to the past, regardless as to the future, if a woman is trying to leave, you need to let her leave. You don't get the right to pull her down the hallway and kick her and treat her like that.
We're not saying he's right for doing that. No one's saying that. What I'm saying is she, with her money, her access to other people and people in that industry and the ways that they go on tour and stuff like that, she could have left, man. That's all I'm saying.
Put it like this. I feel as though I don't think that she had money. I really don't think she had money because you remember when Puffy made her mother take out a loan to pay Puffy back? I mean, he made her take out a $20,000 loan because he was threatening Cassie's life or whatever.
Tapes, right?
Yeah, and she had to take out a loan to pay for that. So she didn't have means like that. She wasn't rolling in the cash. You know what I'm saying? For her mother to have to take out a loan on their house. So I just don't think it was that easy.
I remember. I want you to remember what we talked about last week with Sherry Papini. Remember how you was with the guy with Sherry Papini?
Okay.
Remember you said he
wasn't abused. He wasn't abused.
He wasn't. Wait a minute. You said, I'm just quoting. Mm-hmm. You said that he should have left the first time that she got caught.
No. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what you said. But now I'm saying the same thing for Cassie. She should have left the first time that incident happened, and now.
No, what I'm saying is it is not the same exact thing. It is not the same thing because Keith's life was not in danger. Keith's life was the controller of the relationship.
You don't think Sherry Papini might not have put something in his drink?
No,
at some point.
And Keith's kids. I mean, he had the friggin' alcohol in the over the bag. So yes, he should have left her. Cassie is a totally different situation because her life.
It's not a totally different situation.
Her life. Okay, put it like this: don't you think Tina Turner should have left instantly?
I agree.
It was emotional abuse, along with him putting his hands on her. But I just feel like you can't take all these situations and put them in one box and say, okay, you can leave. She can leave. No, it does not work like that.
Standard. Sounds like we're double standarding here.
No, sir. No, sir. I like to put every situation. Every situation is different. Just like our fingerprints. Our fingerprints. Every fingerprint is different. Every situation is different. Not every situation is the same.
We want our viewers to go back and watch the Sherry Papini documentary, and I want you to sit up here and listen to what my man said.
Tell me in the comments if I'm wrong.
Right. Keith should have left the first time it happened.
Keith should have left.
And all I'm saying is, Cassie should have left the first time this happened.
No, I agree. I agree. She should have left. I do agree. She should have left.
That's what I'm saying.
But what I'm saying is it might not have been that easy because this dude was a bad dude. I mean, it's in the name alone.
He might have been. I get it, but
all
why
the
are we also?
He has means.
He has a lot of means,
and he had reach.
And
I mean, he had dude's car set on fire.
We don't know that.
Allegedly.
Right, we don't know that.
Allegedly, he had.
They didn't have no proof of that, so we don't know that.
Well, it seems like he did. It seems like he did it. 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 Regardless, Kid Cudi's car was set on fire.
Regardless, yeah, his Porsche or whatever it was.
Sometimes you can put one and one and add them up and they come out to be two. I think that it was Puffy who did it personally.
Like I said, there was no evidence to say that he did that, so I can't speculate here or there on that. But moving on with was it Jane? Jane was the other one.
Yes, and she was actually in a relationship for 3 years, I believe, up until he was arrested. And the crazy thing is she testified against him, and he's still paying her rent. To this day, he's still paying her rent. So that means a lot right there. If she's willing to testify and say this man is a bad man, yes, he pays my rent, she sounds believable to me.
Or on the flip side, maybe she's just a gold digger, man. Maybe she just does this. I mean, she was a model, right? Was she a model?
I don't know. All I know is that there's a stark difference between the way you think and the way that I think. Okay,
well, I'm just saying.
I believe. Okay, put it like
parallels.
This. I think. I mean, sure, women have done men wrong year after year, day after day.
And it goes the other way around.
And men do the exact same thing. Yeah. Men treat women wrong. But I tend to open my ears when a woman speaks and yells fire. Because I listen and I want to, but like you say, at the same time, using your words, at the same time, I would rather a guilty man go free than an innocent man go to jail.
Ooh, boy, you said a mouthful with that one.
I mean, go ahead.
All I'm saying with the whole Jane thing is, if you listen to her testimony when they talked about how they started, like, it was because she was on a yacht, she was partying with friends, and this, that, and other. And, I think the first night they were together, they, had fun with each other or whatnot. All I'm saying is, this can be a pattern of people, because we don't see a lot of men who go through what these women have gone through for financial gain, if that makes any sense. Yeah. There are such a thing as like a sugar mama. I get that, but not to this level to where I haven't seen it. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I haven't seen it. I hear more of this going on, as I call gold digger status, but then it being the other way around. That's where my opinion is coming from. Now, if we are seeing that more on the men's side, where they're getting this done to them and they're being, manipulated or whatnot, they're not saying anything about it, which, we can go back and say, who would care, who would listen or whatever. But I just feel like the girl was a party person, which there's nothing wrong with that. She's young. She's living her life. I get that. Puffy has means. Puffy has a yacht. Puffy has, access to drugs and other things that people like to do whenever they party. I just wonder how much of that is actually she wants to come forward now and say this is happening.
The time to come forth is now.
Or would it have been?
No, the time to come forth is when
she was still going with this person, right?
That's, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong.
But that's my thing. If she's still going with this person up until the investigation or the trial happens, that makes me think a little bit.
Yeah, it's time for her to escape.
No,
this is the time. This is the time I finally get my chance.
You are looking for something. No. You're gaining something from this relationship.
Freedom.
You're gaining your rent being paid from this relationship. You're getting to go on trips. So it's like I don't want to say this, but it's almost like you're selling yourself out almost to do these things with the person, because I didn't see most of what Cassie kind of endured with Jane, and I could be wrong. I didn't see a lot of that in that testimony that I listened to.
They had the two things in common that I saw were they had to transport drugs,
Okay.
and they also had to have sexual relations with other men, even though they spoke, they did not want to. Well, they were basically made to.
Debatable.
They were drugged. Yes, because they had the text messages. Jane was saying, "I don't want to do this anymore," you know.
Okay. And then would she meet him to do it though? That's what I'm saying. If you don't want to do something and you're away from this person, like, don't do it. Like,
he can reach. He has reach.
He's
a bad dude.
I'm not saying that
he was an angry cook is what he was. He was an angry cook.
I'm not going to say that there's not any kind of danger that can be involved and stuff like that with people, because we all know people with wealth have power. Wealth is power. Wealth has reach in places we don't even know about. I get that. And that's another thing with this, and we can get into this a little bit later, is about if you're wealthy, you can do anything you want in this country anyway. So, but what I'm saying is, from a human perspective, if I'm currently away from somebody and they want me to come over and I don't want to come over, don't come over.
It's not that simple. It is not that simple, because you know what? Stay where you are. If someone with power, with means and reach, if they said for you to do something and you said you weren't going to do it, okay, that's fine. Don't do it. Stay at your house. Or a firebomb through your window. But no, it's not that simple.
So you would rather go through that. You'd rather go through that horrid experience.
I can't speak on their experience because it hasn't happened to me. All I know is that it seems like they were afraid. It seems like they were scared because this man had power. This man had ability. He could do anything he wanted to do. And he had all those bottles of daggum baby oil. He should have been charged on that alone. That should be illegal. So I don't think it's just that simple for someone to say no. You know, I don't.
Why
think
is that? Let's talk on that for a second. Because that hits a nerve with me. Why in this today's society is it so hard for somebody to say no? I don't want to do this, and I'm not gonna do this, and you will have to carry me before I do this.
What you talking about? Somebody unaliving somebody? What are you talking about?
Well, what I'm saying is, like, if you have to do something physical, right? Okay. If you don't want to do it, somebody can't make it. If you have a mailbox outside that you got to dig the post hole for, right? Okay. If you don't want to do it, nobody can come in here and physically make you dig that post hole. Nobody can. So what I'm saying is, when do we could get to a point in society where no kind of means yes and yes kind of means no? Like, when did this happen? Let your yays be your yays and let your nays be your nays. You know, I don't understand where this shift happened. Like, I don't know if it's people pleasing. Have we all been programmed too much to where we can't say no to people? And I don't have a problem saying no to people. I really don't. If I don't want to do something, I'm not going to do it. And there's nothing you can do to make me do it. That will be our point of contention from here to kingdom come. But if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. And I'll tell you, hey, I don't want to do that. And that's the end of the conversation. So I'm just saying, I don't understand where in this society saying no to somebody is so difficult. Maybe you have more, introspect on this than I do.
No, I don't. I want to stay out of this little spiel that you just did. This is all on James. So it got nothing to do with me, but continue. I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with that at all. Not at all.
you will do. You're saying? Are you saying to me that you will do something you don't want to do for somebody?
I'm not saying. What I'm saying is that I believe that these females were forced and or
I'm talking about you personally. I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about the females. I'm talking about you personally.
I'm talking about the females.
I was talking about me because I was talking
well,
about me.
You're not testifying. You're not testifying.
I agree. But what I'm saying, I want your opinion on why we are not saying no more in regular situations. Is people pleasing like a pandemic or whatever?
No, I think you're able to defend yourself. I think I'm able to defend myself.
Just because you're a man?
No, not just because I'm a man.
Or is it because confidence? Do you think? I'm just trying to get where we're going here. Is it confidence? Is it your child? Your upbringing in childhood. What gives you that I can say no?
When my life is on the line? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm just in general saying no to something you don't want to do.
I don't know. All I know is not everybody can say no. That's all I know.
And I'm saying, why is that? I'm trying to I wish somebody could tell me why that is. Why I don't know. Why all don't people say no more?
All I know is I felt sorry for them. I do believe people sometimes are put in positions that they're not they don't have a gun to their head and they're forced to do things. For instance, I mean, even I don't know, when someone has a gun to your head and they say dig a ditch. I mean, you're going to dig that ditch. You still got a choice. No,
you got a choice.
Yeah,
it might not be a choice you want to make, but you do have a choice.
But don't they always dig that ditch?
I don't know who they is, but
I just feel like every movie that I've seen, when they tell somebody to dig a ditch, they dig the ditch.
Well, here's the point I look at it from the movie aspect. You digging a ditch for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And
so I ain't gonna help him out.
You prolong? No, yes, you will.
I ain't gonna help him out
because you know what?
I'm not helping you dig a ditch for me.
You know what? I guarantee that you would. I guarantee that you would, because you're gonna sit up there and say, okay, it extends from 5 minutes to 10 minutes from that bullet being put in me. It extends at 10 minutes to 30 minutes.
If the outcome is going to be the same, why am I going to help you do manual work before I get out of here?
I don't know. I mean, I agree with you mentally. I do agree with you mentally. But other than that, I mean, I just feel like most people will dig that ditch. But you know, we're swaying. We're swaying.
No, this is good though. This is part of it. Like because I don't understand the part. I know you said that he's a man of means. He's got power. He's got reach and everything like that. Not saying he doesn't. Not saying that some of that could be intimidating. I'm not saying that at all.
All of that is intimidating. That's the intimidation factor.
I'm saying at some point, we as a society has got to be like, I'm not doing this, or I'm not going to do this no more. I'm not putting my body through this anymore. But that the inconsistency of their testimony is what I think got some of these charges dropped, man. Because are you just appeasing him because he's got power, or
yes.
are you enjoying some of this as well? You know what I'm saying?
They could just say that just to stop his anger. They could be saying this just to stop the fury that they know will surely come. You know what I'm saying? Just because in that same scenario of them digging the person digging the ditch, his reach is that gun. It's not tangible, but it's there. They know what he would and or could do.
But how many people has he come up? Do we know has been associated with him that's come up missing?
We wouldn't know because they missing. I don't know.
Somebody's gonna miss somebody. I mean, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that the man don't have that kind of power. I'm not saying that. It's just, I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't know. When I say something, I mean it. I mean what I say and say what I mean. So if I don't want to do something, I don't do it. If you don't like it, okay, we're good. Whatever. But it just seems like to me, like, I don't know, because you gotta be careful with people nowadays too, Marlon. That's another thing. You gotta be careful with people because people will hang around you for stuff that you can do for them. It wasn't like these people were sitting up here not getting anything out of this, and they kept them in a room where they couldn't get out. It wasn't like Sherry Papini, okay? It wasn't like Sherry Papini where she said she was chained up to something. Like, it wasn't like that.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, and this is going to be a controversial question. All right, you ready? All right. So, what did you think about the Me Too movement?
The Me Too movement?
Yeah. Because I think that a lot of this derives from the Me Too movement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think in any movement that you have, there's extremists on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Any movement. There's extreme opposition, and there's people who are so far on the other side of the spectrum whenever they have a movement that they take it a little too far. I am with the women who were on the Me Too movement, but I'm going to say this. Not everybody deserves to be on that with them. Not everybody went through what some of those women went through. Some of them are just riding the coattails of what other people went through. And you can say the same about any other movement we've had in this country. But I will say this. It brought to light something that we have all thought before. I've thought this before because I've always wondered, for, you know, people getting to be a celebrity and whatnot, what did you have to do to get in that movie?
They were coerced. They were coerced. They were forced. They were, you know, I mean.
Well, Marlon, hold on with the forcing. I'm saying, hold on. If you go into somebody's office wanting a movie, right? Wanting to do a movie. And they say, hey, you have to do X, Y, and Z to be in this movie. Do you have a choice at that point?
I don't know what's in the room. I don't know what the scenario is. I have no idea.
Here we go.
I have no idea. I'm not in their shoes.
You know what I'm talking about. If you go into a room with a movie producer or a filmmaker or whatnot, and you are applying to be in this movie, and you go in there and he or she tells you you have to do X, Y, and Z to him to be in this movie, do you have a choice at that point of what you want to do?
I don't know. I'm not a victim blamer.
No.
I'm not a victim blamer.
It's not a victim blamer. So you're trying to put this back on me. It's not.
I just feel like
I just asked you a simple question.
I believe in the.
If you go into a job interview, if you go into a job, I'm talking in this scenario, and this is why I'm saying some of these people who were on this movement with the people who actually got, you know, certain stuff done to them. Some of them are not 100% traumatized as they say they are, but just because they are not, huh?
How do you know they're not traumatized?
By this certain scenario I just told you about. You go into a job application or an interview, excuse me. You go into an interview, and the interview tells you for you to have this job, you got to do X, Y, and Z for me. At that point, you do have a choice to walk out the room.
He might not be letting her. He might not let her.
I'm saying if the door is not locked, if there's not security saying you got to stay in there, if it's a open interview, this is what I'm saying. I'm not saying if somebody's sitting there with a gun pointed to your head or it's locked and you can't get over there. If they say you got to do this, at that point, you have a choice. Some of this is about choices. We all make choices, and they change the trajectory of our lives. What I'm saying is, if you have a choice to do the opposite, do the opposite.
Roger that. Roger that. I'm not driving down that road. I refuse to drive down that road. I was just wondering what you thought about it. That's all. You know, but
here's the thing, Martin. Did you believe every one of the people that were claiming to be in the Me Too movement had something that significant happen to them? Or do you think some people actually went in there just for clout?
Well, I I don't know. I don't know the statistics.
No, that's what
but
I'm
I
saying.
do know. But
some people in there just went in there for clout. Some people didn't have some of those.
It's a strong possibility. It's a strong possibility.
It's a strong possibility.
But I also know that mankind can be animals. Men are dogs by law. You know, especially men with power. That's just an unnatural combination right there. So
But do you also realize though there are certain situations where women have more power?
Yeah, I mean it's far and few between, I'm sure.
It goes both ways. All I'm saying is, let's take, like we said with the Sherry Papini thing, let's take the divorce courts. How much power does a woman have in the divorce court?
I don't know.
Unlimited.
I don't think they have unlimited power.
It is unlimited. If you talk to any man, any man that's been divorced, been through a custody battle, they have unlimited power.
But even in Sherry Papini's court case, she didn't have unlimited power. She
was already lying before, Barley. Like,
well, that's a bad example.
She lied about getting kidnapped.
But that's a bad
before
example.
The divorce. Yeah, that was a terrible example. But what I'm saying is, there are certain instances and spaces where women do have more power than men. It's seen in the courts every single day. Every divorce court, every man you talk to that's been in the divorce court will tell you from their own experience, he can't do anything and she can do whatever she wants. And that's just facts.
I honestly don't think it's fair for me to speak on it because I've never been through that. I mean, I've heard the stories, I've heard certain stories, but like I said, I have no experience in that.
I understand that, but like I said, the more people you talk to, we have different power in different situations. I'm not trying to paint this with one brush,
broad stroke.
Yeah, but the thing is, there's sometimes they got more power than we do too. Like it may be few and far between, but it does happen.
Okay, do you think that Sean Combs should go to jail?
Yeah, I mean, for this count, yeah. That's what he got convicted for. Like I said, I still don't understand why they didn't do the assault charges, because that would be a slam dunk.
But you just got through saying that she had a choice.
She had a choice, but did he transport to engage in prostitution? Yes.
Okay, so legally, you can go to someone across state lines to have sex with them, as long as no money's changed hands? I don't understand.
Which, hey, that's a slippery slope. Because think if you fly somebody out for a date or whatever, and then y'all have relations or whatnot, is that the same thing?
I don't know.
Or do they have to be considered a prostitute for? See, that's the thing about the law. You got to look at the words that are written in there and the definition of the words, because you can skew this stuff however you want to. So my question is, does the person that you fly out to engage in this activity with have to be quote unquote a prostitute or not?
Well, I don't think Jane nor Cassie was a prostitute.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, anybody who flies out somebody to another state to engage in some kind of activity, I mean, do you count the plane ticket as being payment?
It's transactional.
Do you count the dinner and the hotel room as being payment?
Honestly, I have no idea why they stuck them with that. I don't know.
I mean, that's the one I think that's stuck. Is the transportation.
Yeah, the two for Cassie, and I think it was because, like you said, it was racketeering, conspiracy. He was not guilty on sex trafficking, which it says is not guilty on, transportation to engage in prostitution.
Right. See, I need a whole breakdown of what that entails. Does that mean this person has to be a prostitute?
This is what it says: transportation to engage in prostitution with Cassie Ventura, he was found guilty on. Sex trafficking, he was found not guilty on Cassandra Ventura. And the exact same thing goes for Jane. Sex trafficking with Jane, she was found not guilty. Transportation to engage in prostitution with Jane, she was found guilty.
Okay, so what we see now is you don't have to be quote unquote a prostitute.
I mean, apparently. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe this had something to do with the dudes. I don't know. I have no idea.
See, that's what I'm saying, because they did bring in escorts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So maybe they counted them as being prostitutes.
Part of the prostitution thing. Yeah, right. That's what I would guess.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, you go on that law sometimes, man, and it's very specific, but there are ways you can go in there and change, the way it sounds and how you interpret it. Because law is nothing more in my book than an interpretation by somebody. Because everything if we read the same book, we can interpret it in two different ways. If I sit up there and read this law that is for transportation to engage in prostitution, like we said, does that mean anybody that you fly out? Does that mean it has to be a prostitute?
I would think the safest thing to do is not to bring a prostitute across the
safest thing to do, yeah. But I'm saying, like, as a lawyer or a judge, I can see this being spun. So I can see it, like, because you can be like, well, does that actually mean that? What does all that mean? So I think, like I said, the prosecution, they reached for those two, I guess you would say. And like I said, I just didn't understand the assault not being part of the charge.
Yeah, that we agree. If we agree on absolutely nothing else, that we agree on. Most definitely. He should, because
it was a slam dunk. Like, it's a slam dunk.
It was.
Now, I don't know if there's a statute of limitations that they have.
It possibly could be.
Yeah,
it possibly could be. But still, they could have used that as evidence showing his character.
I think they did that.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that charge him with assault let's just say for the simple of the frying the skillet, and said, okay, he hit her with this skillet. We should charge him with assault. And if you don't believe he puts his hands on her, we got a video to show you, which shows his character.
Now, I'll say this. I think that's why the defense didn't even call a witness.
No, that's because they were going to let the burden of proof be on the prosecution. Yeah.
Because they are presumed innocent. They have innocence on their side as they walk into a courtroom, which I don't want to get into this whole thing. We can do this a little bit later, but what do you think about having being presumed innocent until proven guilty, and you still get arrested and have to go to jail first?
I think that's an episode for another day, sir. I honestly think, because that is, because that's deep. That's deep. I don't feel like people should have to mortgage sell their homes or put their house up for whatever to get somebody out of jail. I think they shouldn't tell individuals that if you don't plead guilty for this, we're going to put you in jail. You're going to do more time. I don't even want to go into that today. I think we've had a good, clean, nice conversation. Let's continue it to be that way, sir. We'll save that for another day.
Yeah, understood. So, do you think, I guess, wrapping this up neatly, do you think that justice was served?
From what little I do know, I would say yes. Because regardless as to what your thoughts are on, the racketeering or the sex trafficking or whatever, we all know that he was guilty of some of that stuff. So regardless, he should go to jail. Regardless.
Are they talking about how much jail time they're willing to give him?
Yeah, they're talking about a maximum of 5 years, or I think the defense is trying to go the prosecution's trying to go for 5 years. And the defense is trying to say a maximum of 2 years. That's last time I heard. But that could change.
Yeah, it could. Okay, so I wonder if there's because what happens in the courtrooms, like they go back and forth on how many years they think they can get back and forth with the client. Like, so do you think that the defense is going to get closer to what they want, which you said is 2 years, or you think the prosecution is going to get closer to what they want is 5?
Well, I think probably the prosecution, for the simple fact that they tried to give him bail and it was denied bail.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if they approve the bail, then I can say, okay, maybe 2 years, but the judge still sees him as a threat.
Yeah, that's basically what that means. So
I think that, he's going to get more than the 2 years that they want to give him.
Yeah, if it were me, I'd say it'd be the 3 or 4. It'd be somewhere right in the middle.
But he's going to get out. He's going to get out earlier.
He's going to get out in 18 months. Let's just be honest.
He's already done what, 9 months?
Are they even going to do time served?
I think they have to do time served. Oh no! No! They're not going to do time served. No.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think they're going to do that at all. No. Okay. Because if they would have done time served, I mean, why not give him bail if they're considering time served? Because he's a threat. He's a threat.
That's going to be interesting, though, if they give him time served. That's something I do want to kind of check on and make sure, because that's very interesting if they give him that, because that's going to shorten that sentence even more. But I know his defense is probably going to be pressing for it.
Of course.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be a good defense if they didn't.
No. But I just thought it was very telling that they didn't even call a single witness. They felt like that the prosecution didn't even make a good enough case for them to even call any witnesses.
Well, I think probably because for the simple fact that he's a bad dude. What kind of witness can they call? What would that witness say? No, he didn't beat her. I mean, she was a believable witness. I think the majority of them were believable witnesses from what I saw. So there's no need for them to call someone. Who would they call?
Well, I'm saying in any defense case, you want to call somebody. I mean, okay. With a person with that much reach, you don't think they could have got somebody on that stand to tell a lie and say, I saw this happen. You don't think now, because here's what I'm saying. We're talking about his reach and how he scared all these people. If he's got that much reach, the mafia does it all the time. Dude can get up there and say, none of this ever happened. I was there in the room at that time and it didn't happen. He's got enough money to do that. It's just telling to me that he didn't do that. That's why I thought to myself, they really don't believe the prosecution proved anything that was substantial anyway.
Like, I mean, the jurors
I think he knew going into court he was going to get this transportation. I think he knew that, because
they just mainly wanted to get rid of the racketeering.
Right.
That's the main thing they wanted.
And they didn't have nothing for the racketeering.
No,
really, that's what it seems like to me from what I heard and what I've seen. Like I said, I haven't listened to everybody's testimony, but from what I've heard and seen on media and various shows, they didn't really have a case. It was a stretch, like you said. So I think they went in there knowing that he was going to get the transportation to engage. Like, I think he knew that.
Probably so.
They said they probably didn't know about the sex trafficking. They said that's probably going to be an iffy one. And the racketeering, they was like, they don't have a case for that. Doesn't make it any less nerve-wracking, having those kind of charges coming on you. But what I'm saying is, I think he went in there knowing that those two, or that one, he was going to get for sure. Like, he knew he wasn't walking out of there acquitted from all charges.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. So, all right, you got anything else?
No, man, it was like I said, if y'all haven't, I know everybody kind of knows about it or whatnot, but like I said, that Law and Crime Network, I think is what it is, where they had the AI generated testimony. That was actually kind of cool, and for you to see AI do that kind of thing just from transcripts was, kind of iffy on that one. We ain't gonna talk about artificial intelligence just yet, but I'm saying
that's another rabbit hole.
Yeah, hey, it's kind of iffy, but it was cool to see because you did kind of get some kind of feeling like you were there. But like I said, they didn't do every single witness's testimony. So, but I think personally, for the charges that he was charged with, justice was served.
Good deal.
Doesn't take away all that other stuff he did. Like I said, we don't know why they didn't include some of those assault charges or whatnot. And maybe it's because of the NDAs that they had already, there were some NDAs, I think, that were signed by some of those victims. So I don't know how that works. But yeah, for the charges that he was charged, I think, the prosecution made its case for that one. And those other two, they didn't have that good of a case.
All right. Roger that. Anything else? We're good?
I think we're good. Close this up.
All right. Well, we thank you for joining us to Trash Talk and Tall Tales. Make sure you check us out on Spotify as well. We love hearing from you, so like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.